Welcome, everybody, to this new episode of CCIR Student Spotlight. With me today is Weston Wang. Weston is a current sophomore in Pennsylvania, and during his time at CCIR, he took a course with Dr. Mushkatov of the University of Cambridge entitled The Astrophysics of Black Holes, White Dwarfs, and Neutron Stars. For his project at CCIR, Weston ultimately centered on a project that looked at the calculation of photon trajectories near the black hole. We're really excited to have you here today, Weston. So first things first, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Weston, just to get started, I want to ask you a little bit about your background coming into CCIR. So what was it that first drew you to the field of physics and to the field of astrophysics in particular?
As a kid, I'm always interested in physics and sciencey stuff. But I like, when did I actually get interested in astrophysics? It was during middle school. So during middle school, I read a lot of books and encyclopedias about space. And at that time, the universe seemed like a very intriguing and mysterious place to me. A few of the many questions that I had was how the universe formed, how it grew from essentially a hot, dense cloud of gas to the cold, vast expanse of planets and galaxies today. So I really wanted to know how the universe came to exist and how it operates.
That's very interesting. And so tell me a little bit about your path, let's say, from middle school to CCIR. So more concretely, maybe tell me how you ended up picking Mushkatov's course in particular out of all the courses that were currently then on offer at CCIR.
So during middle school, I did not do a lot of research. I did not do a lot of research on this. I was just an avid reader of like astrophysics and aerospace science, especially. So I actually started getting serious about research and academic opportunities when I was like when I was started high school in America. So I heard about this Cambridge course from my friends at school. I wanted an opportunity to get to know more about like a subject that I have been always passionate about. So I immediately applied. I took a look at the Cambridge course catalog, which was a little different than what we have now. There were a few courses on biotechnology, on mechanical engineering, and on economics, but there were only two special courses on astrophysics. One is about finding exoplanet detection, and the other one is about the astrophysics of black holes, which is taught by Dr. Mushtakov. And so I applied to them all, and I get an offer from the Mushtakov course, so I ended up picking this course.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about what you found to be maybe the most interesting aspect of working with Dr. Mushkatov, whether this be sort of learning about something that you didn't know about within the field of astrophysics or about sort of doing research.
So working with him, I learned a lot of baffling and mind-boggling and interest and surprising things. So like to name some of the few, as an example, I once thought that black holes were immortal, like they being the ultimate destroyers of the universe, sucking everything into their like deep, dark insides. They were simply too massive to die. But through this course, I learned that black holes, like all the other celestial bodies, have a limited lifespan, and they can evaporate through emitting a type of radiation called Hawking radiation. So the way it works is each time it emits the Hawking radiation, its size and mass shrinks a little bit until it is small enough to evaporate. And another example is that um, I was surprised to learn that the evolutionary track of different stars can be predicted based on their masses. So more massive stars, like the progenitor star of Sagittarius A, supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy, um, they will end up as a neutron star or a black hole. Whereas a star with the mass of less than 1.5 times that of our sun would end up as something like a white dwarf.
So tell me a little bit about your experience of actually working directly with, an astrophysicist from the University of Cambridge. Um, how has that been? How has that sort of informed your perspective of science and of physics more generally? What has that experience been like for you?
Um, it is like, first of all, I want to thank Dr. Mushtakov and Dr. Vadim Kravtsov, because I really appreciate their dedication and patience in mentoring us, particularly me. Um, um, because like I am able to accomplish and learn a lot from this course. Whereas if I were alone, I wouldn't be able to do so because most of the material would be too hard for me to understand alone. So working with them was essentially a very pleasant experience, although I encountered some challenges. Like these could be I struggled to understand some of the lecture material, or the formulas were too hard, or something went wrong in my project, but they were always happy to help me out. Um, After each session, Dr. Mushtakov reached out to us, like specifically, to ask us if we were okay, if we needed help on anything, or if we needed more time to work on our projects. And he would even go as far as to organize sessions outside of normal class time to help some of us who were falling a little bit behind in our projects, or like for some of us who have a lot of questions. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really excellent to hear. Maybe this is a good moment to talk a little bit about your specific project, which I earlier briefly sketched as looking at photon trajectories near the black hole. I'm sure you can do a little bit of a better job than I can, or a lot better of a job than I can, of telling us what that actually means.
So my project, which is the calculation of trajectories of photons near a black hole, like the name is like I imply is like fairly straightforward, but although it may be like a mouthful, but basically my project revolves around the notion that when a photon approaches a black hole, because of the black hole's massive gravity, it gets sucked into its event horizon. So this is where the notion like even light cannot escape from a black hole comes from. Um, so my project examines the path which photons take, which is essentially an Archimedes spiral, as they approach the black hole and as they get locked, like as they get sucked nearer and nearer to its event horizon, to its core, like around an accretion disk, um, until it approaches its core, and yeah. So it's
So
the
tell
process
me,
by which it gets sucked inside.
tell me a little bit about, on the one hand, how you approach this topic. So, what drew you to this particular topic? And also tell me a little bit more about, let's say, some of the challenges that you encountered as you were trying to execute this project.
So during the last 4 weeks, we chose our individual projects from a list of projects that prepared by our professors. And like to me, all the projects like sounded pretty hard. because I was learning about this for the first time. I chose this project because I have like kind of a knack for projectile motion. I like to do all sorts of models on projectile motion in like middle school and high school using like computer programming languages. And I figured that like this project requires Python, which I can obviously manage. So I chose this out of all the other projects. Um, and like because I started late on the project, it was this experience was particularly like challenging for me. Since I fell behind the lectures, I fell behind like in the homework, but like thanks to my professor, like he was so helpful. Like he was willing to help me out when I contacted him through email. Like he said I can like ask him any questions and work out a solution with him and Dr. Vadim Kravtsov. Um, so like I started my like so I worked on my project for like 3 more weeks while encountering like relatively few difficulties in the process. These few included like syntax errors, but nothing too serious. So once I started my project, it was pretty smooth, and I was able to complete the project in time.
That's really excellent to hear. Um, so one thing I want to hear a little bit about is how this experience of yours doing research at CCIR with Dr. Mushkatov, with these leading astrophysicists, has been different, let's say, from your experience thus far in learning science and doing science in the context of school. So what makes you think doing this level of scientific work different from the source of scientific work that you're doing in your physics classes and your chemistry classes?
Um, First of all, like one, uh, so these are some of the differences that I think I are the most fundamental. So first of all, um, I get early exposure to research. So like by exposing myself to research early, I get a better idea of what being immersed in a professional research environment is going to look like. It's simply not like the high school level, like the high in during high school, you simply sit in a classroom and learn from the teacher. This is like a fundamental difference between this research course and like typical high school classroom courses. Um, and it also gives me a better idea on what a future education in astrophysics looks like. Because um, this sort of depth and breadth of coverage and is simply beyond what most high schools can offer. And the
So,
second thing is I
mhm.
get access to world-class mentorship, um, working with people like who are renowned experts in this field can really help me progress. Like rather than just learning like from the typical high school classroom.
So I want to ask a little bit about whether this has at all impacted your sense of whether or not a career in science or in research is something that is more or less attractive now for you. Because I can imagine from a certain perspective, um, it could be daunting to suddenly learn how rigorous and difficult doing science actually is, especially if you come from more of like reading about popular science and all of that to actually doing it. But how has this at all shaped your understanding of your own relationship to research and to science?
Um, After this course, I definitely feel more attracted to engineering and physics tertiary education. Yeah.
Makes sense. Um, has it at all? brought any sense of because one of the things that I hear quite often from our students is that one of the striking things about taking one of CCIR's courses is the experience of learning about all that you didn't even know you didn't know. Has that at all been reflected in your experience?
Yes, it has definitely showed in like at times, because the breadth of coverage, the depth of the material, and like this sheer amount of content like in the lecture is simply like beyond what I've seen in high school. So to the point that like it challenges like even my notion of what astrophysics even is. So yeah.
So as we gradually come towards the end of this interview, I want to pose you a question that I ask every single student I interview for the Student Spotlight series. And it is this. Suppose now you are to encounter a student who is hoping to, let's say, do astrophysics research for the first time in their life, who's never done astrophysics research, never done research in general, who simply has an interest and passion for the field, but are a little bit scared and daunted by everything that you've said about how difficult and how much depth and how much breadth is in this course. What would you say to such a student if they told you that they were concerned that research might be a little bit too scary for them?
So I would first say that like your interest or your passion will definitely be fulfilled, because this course will likely be a challenge for all high school students since it involves college level material, and it offers like lectures simply like beyond what most the level of what most high schools can fathom. So I would say like I would say to the student that you would also benefit from mentorship from people who are renowned experts in the field. So the small class size means that the professor and the teaching assistant will have more time to devote to each student to help them with their research and understanding of the lecture material, which is often like challenging and abstract. Um, Another benefit I would like also list is like you will get early exposure to research, as I talked about above. By engaging in research earlier, you understand what it will be like to be immersed in a professional research environment. You will also gain a deeper understanding of the subject matter than is possible through conventional high school class instruction alone. And this, like together, these will give you a better idea as to whether you want to pursue a career and education in this field in the future. Because if you never try it out, you'll never know what it'll be like. And it's better to make this distinction clear as to whether or not you're actually interested, you're actually suitable for this career, than later in college where you have to bother switching majors, which um, sounds very, which is like more problematic. Yeah.
That's a fantastic answer, Weston. I'm really happy to hear that the experience has been as challenging and as fruitful and as orienting for you as it has been. So with this last question, I just want to say thank you so much, Weston, for taking your time today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, learning about your experience at CCIR. And with that, I just want to say best of luck in your future explorations of the universe. And with that, I just want to say thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you. It was great meeting and talking with you.